Grab soundbite number 21. Kirsten Nielsen, she's the Director of Homeland Security, testified today before the Senate Judiciary Committee on Immigration. She was in the meeting that Durbin claims Trump used that derogatory term to describe country. She did really, really well today. We have three sound bites, but here's one. This is an exchange with Patrick Leahy.
Did President Trump use this word or a substantially similar word to describe certain countries?
I did not hear that word used, no, sir.
That's not a question. Did he use anything similar to that describing certain countries?
The conversation was very impassioned. I don't dispute that the president was using tough language. Others in the room were also using tough language. If I could, the concept and the context, I believe, in which this came up was the concept that the president would like to move to a merit-based system. He would like to no longer look at quotas from countries.
Did he use what would be considered vulgar language referring to certain countries?
The president used tough language in general, as did other congressmen in the room. Yes, sir.
You see how pathetic this is? So Durbin creates this little firestorm, and now here come the Democrats circling the wagons to back it up. Did he use the word? Did he use? I thought there was no doubt he used the word. But she says she didn't hear it. There's also, have you heard that Trump said, why can't we bring in more people from places like Norway? He mentioned something else in the same sentence that nobody is reporting, and I will share that with you in moments. Have you heard Trump has gone after Dick Durbin now, calls him Little Dicky. Little Dicky Durbin. Dicky Durbin tried to blow up the immigration deal, and Dicky Durbin is outraged that he's being disrespected in this manner. And this is exactly why you should be standing up and applauding. This is the disruption that we all wanted. I want to go back. We got two more sound bites here with Kirsten Nielsen. She's the Director of Homeland Security, testified today before the Senate Judiciary Committee hearing on immigration. And, of course, they wanted to talk to her because they wanted to find out what was said in that room. Durbin was there, but apparently his word's not enough because they're asking everybody else if they heard the word too. And some people say, I can't specifically say I heard the word. By the way, do you know why? Because apparently there were profanities being tossed around in that meeting from all people on all sides of the issue. And see, this is one of my points. We have these phony actors that are portraying news anchors on CNN, faking like they're about to be reduced to tears over the fact that Trump called some poor countries a bunch of ho-hos. Anderson's horrible. I don't know if I can go on. It's the phoniest display. And as though they've never heard the word, as though they've never used the word. I get so sick and tired of these people morally preening as though they are the essence of virtue and that they are spotlessly clean, and that qualifies them to sit up on high, morally judging everybody else. And yet when you turn the light of attention on them, they run like the cockroaches under the sink. And they start caterwauling, you can't do that, we're journalists. You can't investigate us. You can't examine us. We're journalists. And they really think that. They're above it. They have constitutional protection, so you can't criticize them. You can't investigate. They can't handle the heat that they throw out. I mean, they can't even get close to handling the heat that they throw out. So there were profanities all over the place, meaning all the people in the room were cursing, including the Democrats. And I wonder if that news is now being widely disseminated. I wonder if this will cause even more tears on CNN when they find out their beloved Democrats are also speaking that way. So here's the second soundbite. Senator Leahy still not through with Kirsten Nielsen.
When he denigrated Haiti, El Salvador, and Africa, a country where we are trying to have some ability
Stop the tape. Are you running this at slow speed, or can we speed this up? Are you running this at normal speed, Mike? You can't be. You sure you're not fudging this and slowing it down just to make it... he denigrated Haiti, El Salvador, Africa. You telling me that you're not doctoring that? All right, well, here, patience, folks, patience. Cue it back up to the top. 3, 2, 1.
Influence. He didn't say it's because we needed more PhD students or skilled workers. He said he wanted more people from Norway. What does he mean when he says he wants more immigrants from Norway?
I don't believe he said that specifically.
Norway is a predominantly white country, isn't it?
I actually do not know that, sir, but I imagine that is the case.
All right, now you see what's going on there. But you know what's not being reported? And I just learned this morning. Trump said Norway and Asia. Why can't we get more people from Norway and Asia? The drive-bys leave off the Asia. So they can focus on, yeah, Trump's a white supremacist. He only wanted people from Norway because they're white. Well, wait a minute. Asians aren't. A lot of them aren't. How is what possible? Yeah, I don't know how this is possible. What do you mean? I do know how it's possible. The drive-by media is not reporting it. And I guess the White House is responsible for getting this aspect out there. But Trump said Norway and Asia. But they leave out the Asia, specifically wanting to focus on Trump supposedly being a white supremacist. Of course, all of this can be blown to smithereens. There's the Reverend Jackson gave Trump all kinds of awards in years gone by for all of the great things he has done for African Americans. In a trip to Haiti, Rand Paul, who is an eye doctor, Rand Paul restored the site to 200 Haitians using money donated by Donald Trump to do it after one of the disasters there. See, somebody just said, yeah, but he didn't mean it. That's exactly how they do it. So a big-time conservative donates $25 million to a New York hospital, and the nurses union said, no. The hospital should reject this. He didn't mean it. He's just trying to cover for the fact that he's a hateful, bigot, racist. That's what Kirsten Nielsen says here. I don't believe he said Norway specifically because there was and Asia tacked onto it, which totally blows up the narrative that Trump wanted immigration from white countries. You know, there's another allegation about Trump. Accusation, observation. People say that in the circle of advisors, they want to be the last person Trump talks to because that's what he remembers. And so on that day, he had a meeting with Prime Minister of Norway, who had been singing the praises of the country. And so Trump throws out Norway because that's the last frame of reference that he had before going into the meeting. But they want to chalk it up to white supremacy. And just absurd stuff. Now, folks, for later in the program, because I can't get to everything all at once, Shelby Steele, who we have cited several times on this program, is an African-American intellectual thinker, a writer extraordinary. He's at the Hoover Institute on the campus at Stanford. And he's written a piece today that is fairly deep. But I'm going to tell you what it means, what his point is. His point is that, and he making it as a legitimate point, is not a criticism. He said that black progress in America has largely happened as a result of protest. And he cites Dr. King and a number of other examples where black life, African-American life, was marginally improved by virtue and by way of protest. It's a disguised way also of saying the Democrats have nothing to do with whatever advancements African Americans have had. But his point is not that. His point is that it no longer works. Because in recent years, African Americans have experienced so much freedom and so much opportunity that the charge of racism is not nearly as effective as it used to be. And what's happening here in this incident with Trump and the Democrats and immigration is perhaps some evidence. They're calling Trump a racist, and he's not moving. He doesn't care. He also cites the NFL protests. He said, you talk about a bomb? All they ended up doing was damaging their own industry. You can't say that the black protests, kneeling during the anthem, succeeded in doing anything. It didn't advance black life in America whatsoever. Now, on the other hand, if the objective was to damage the NFL, they were successful. I think the kneeling and the protest of the anthem, if the objective was to harm the NFL, there's no question they have succeeded in doing that. But that's only because the NFL is populated with a bunch of knee-jerk liberals who react in fear and fright with each of these kind of allegations, and their knee-jerk reaction is, okay, what do you want? What do you want? You want some money for your communities? Here it is. But his point is that NFL fans saying, screw this, and not attending, and not watching on TV anymore, is just one bit of evidence that black protest has run its course, that it's not working. Black Lives Matter, what has it actually done to benefit anything? It hasn't done anything. Meanwhile, black unemployment is at an all-time low since statistics started in 1972. And his point is that African Americans are discovering more freedom than they've ever known what to do. In terms of discrimination and bigotry, bias, and so forth, there's less of it now. And, of course, the more middle-class upward mobility there is in African-American families, the less there will be a focus on protest as a means of improving one's station in life. And he pretty insistent here that this primary tactic that African-American activists have used is about at its end. Now, I expect some people are going to disagree with this profoundly, but I'll give you the details of it as the program unfolds. As I say, I can't get everything done in the first segment of the first hour. There's one more soundbite here, or no, there is one more bite here with Dicky Durbin and Kirsten Nielsen, Director of Homeland Security. And I want to squeeze this in before the break. Same place, Senate Judiciary Committee hearing on immigration. Dicky Durbin, what do you remember the president saying about immigration from African countries to the United States? What do you remember him saying?
What I heard him saying was that he'd like to move away from a country-based quota system to a merit-based system. So it shouldn't matter where you're from. It should matter what you can contribute to the United States.
How did he characterize those countries in Africa?
I don't specifically remember a categorization of countries in Africa.
You said on Fox News that the president used strong language. What was that strong language?
Let's see. Strong language, there was, apologies, I don't remember a specific word. What I was struck with, frankly, as I'm sure you were as well, was just the general profanity that was used in the room by almost everyone.
Did you hear me use profanity?
No, sir. Neither did I.
Did you hear Senator Graham use profanity?
I did hear tough language from Senator Graham, yes, sir. I remember specific cuss words being used by a variety of members.
Now, for a guy who has been insisting for 5 days that Trump used a specific word, doesn't that sound kind of mild to you? She's basically saying that he's not telling the truth. And he said, well, did you hear this? Did you hear that? What did you... And then I think she gave up the ghost when she said that there was so much profanity in that room, I couldn't even keep track of it all. How many of you had heard that? All we've known for the past 5 days is that everybody in that meeting was clean and pure as the wind-driven snow, except for President Trump, who was his usual reprobate, embarrassing self, using that word to describe poor countries all over the world. Now we find out there was so much profanity that the Director of Homeland Security can't tell you who said what.